Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the We Were Athletes Once podcast. My name is Kyle, and I am joined by Aaron.
Hello.
And uh, it's been a little bit since we've done an episode, so we have quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, this weekend, tomorrow, I believe, as you guys are seeing this, is UFC 322, with the main event being uh, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. But before we talk about that, we haven't talked about what happened in UFC 321, and there's a lot to talk about. You know, there's it's unfortunate that we have to talk about this card like we do because uh, I want to. We're obviously not going to be talking about it really quick, all that much, but the co-main event between Mackenzie Dern and Vina Jandiroba was an amazing fight.
Oh,
It,
yes.
I was super impressed by it, and Mackenzie Dern ended up becoming a UFC champion from that fight. But then everything that happened after that just overtook that. So you have before we go into the main event of that card, do you have anything to talk about with that fight?
You were you being sarcastic when you said you thought it was a
I
great fight?
so that fight was I didn't have a very high expectation of it.
Okay.
I actually thought it was a better fight than I expected, and I honestly think it was the best fight of the card.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was thinking. I barely even remember that card, and I can't remember who told me that they bought it. Did you buy it?
No, no,
Okay.
I watched it through other means.
Okay. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
My friend texted me and told me he bought it, and I was like, I feel so bad for you because it was just an all around letdown of a card. I think Volkov versus Almeida happened, and it was just a snooze fest because of Almeida. There was the Janjiroba and Dern fight, which I thought was probably, like you said, probably the best fight on the card, and then the let
Omar and Mario Batista was a pretty decent fight too.
yeah. Mario landed that nice knee and clipped him, which I mean, but Mario or Umar ended up winning as I expected. And then the letdown of the century was the main event with the eye poke and probably the worst case scenario, other than Tom just getting knocked out. You got John Jones on Twitter talking about, see, I was telling you, see, pretty much what I said was going to happen if if Tom didn't go in there and smoke Gone, John Jones was going to be using his Twitter fingers and talking on social media. So it just sucks. And so we didn't get a decisive winner. We have to wait probably until the next year, at least 3 or 4 months to see the rematch. But Gone looked he looked on that night. I mean, they both looked good. It was shaping up to be a really good fight, a competitive fight. But just sucks that the eye poke happened.
Yeah, so I would honestly go as far to say that this is a worse scenario than if Tom would have immediately gotten knocked out. Because at least then we have an answer to all this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this is Tom's first fight in I believe a year and a half or close to a year and a half at this point. I want to say
yeah,
it was like July of 2024 was his
yeah.
last
The
fight.
last I was on my honeymoon watching his last fight, which was over a year.
Yeah.
That was July of 24.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's his first fight back. It seemed pretty obvious to me that he had a little bit of ring rust going on.
hmm
Um, but it was also very obvious to me that he was enjoying being back in the octagon. Like there were times where he was just trying new stuff, it looked like, because he looked like he was finally going into a fight that was going to last a little bit. It got to a point where like there was one like spinning elbow that he tried, and it was just an awful attempt at a spinning elbow, and he knew it, but he was like laughing and like high-fiving Gon after it, and it looked like it was going to be a really fun fight. And
Yeah.
now we I so I can't imagine this is not going to be this rematch is not going to be part of the January card. I'll say that right
Mm.
now. I think it's going to be probably the main event of the first Paramount card, especially considering it seems like there's a holdup between Ilya and Patty, which it looks like is going to be the next fight.
Yeah. It should. If somebody's gonna get it, you got Armin versus Dan Hooker next weekend. And so, I mean, I see Armin going in there and just dominating Hooker and just beating him. So they could be waiting to see what happens next weekend before they go and make Patty versus Ilya. Honestly, there was a debate between Patty and Gaethje getting the next shot, and honestly, they're both not deserving at all of it. But I mean, I don't think the UFC likes Arman Sarukian, who's the clear number one contender, like by a country mile. Like that dude's beaten everybody that they put in front of him, except for Gamrot in Islam a few years ago. But yeah, they could be waiting to see what happens next week. You know, if it's a bloodbath and Arman can't make a 2 month turnaround, then they'll feed Patty or Gaethje to uh, to Ilya. Ilya is a scary fighter, I might say. Like he's terrifying.
And even if I want to say even if that fight happens in January, like even if the Ilya fight happens in January, I think Aspinall Gone still needs to happen in January.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
surprised. I thought they should have put it on the December card.
it's I think it's rough with that because by that point I think most of the card had already been decided, so it'd be like
Yeah,
anything. Plus, isn't there already two championship fights on that card?
yeah. They do that often where they'll just put three championship fights on it. I mean, that would have been perfect. Gone, that heavyweight rematch, and then the two lighter weight fights, title fights, three title fights. They would have went out with a bang, their last pay per view ever. And so, but then again, I don't know if the White House is going to be a pay per view, so we'll see.
Yeah, but going back to Aspinall Gone, it looked like not only did it look like it was going to be a fight that we were in for the long haul, but it also looked like Cyril probably even got the best of Tom in that round,
Hmm.
which is the first round since Tom's UFC career started that he would have lost.
Hmm.
Like he's only been sent into a second round one time. It was that fight with Andrei Arlovsky in like his second or third fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
Uh, and we were, I believe, 25 seconds away or 35 seconds away from it going into a second round. And then obviously the eye poke happened. Um,
Yeah.
with how everything looked the second it happened, with him saying, this has been a big point of discussion on the internet. Him saying, I can't see. I do think at that point that kind of showed that that fight was going to end right there. Because I haven't seen a lot of people saying I can't see and then turning around
Yeah.
minutes later and
Yeah. I don't
saying,
believe that. I don't believe that they're allowed to let the fight go on if you say you can't see, but like he couldn't see.
he
I
said it
mean,
he said it two or three times, and
yeah.
they used almost the entire 5 minutes. It was to the point where Jason Herzog just shooed the doctor out of the way, like out of the octagon, because he didn't want him to say anything that would make him want to end the fight early.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate not only seeing the how that fight ended, but also seeing the how the internet responded to it.
Yeah.
I continued to watch. This was right before I had to go to work that night, but as I got in the shower, I continued to listen to what the analyst desk was saying. And I mean, it started right then with Chael Sonnen and Anthony Smith,
Oh,
both of them
brother.
saying, like, you have to be able to, if you're fighting for the heavyweight title, you have to be able to fight without being able to see. And all the John Jones fans, saying he quit, saying this is proof that John Jones is going to beat him. Oh, well,
It's
John
the
Jones,
worst.
yeah, John Jones beat him in 2 minutes,
Yeah,
and he had to go a full
exactly.
round and then quit because it got too hard for him. Not understanding at all that stylistic matchups are actually a thing. Um,
Yeah. And
but
with Anthony Smith and Chael Sonnen, um, two fighters that have never sniffed a championship belt, they had a lot to say.
so,
And what?
oh, I was gonna say it. The certain people that are UFC fighters that decided to come out and speak against Tom Aspinall, it was a very interesting group because obviously in the past couple days, John Jones came out on that podcast and said he's super overrated. He's a one trick pony. Uh, he quit. He quit when he got put in that heel hook before he was even in the UFC, and then he quit again when his knee was hurt against Curtis Blades. Like his knee wasn't completely blown out. Uh,
What about when John Jones blew his shoulder out? He released footage of this. John Jones blew his shoulder out in training, and then he's automatically like, "No, I can't continue."
yeah,
Like when you're injured, you're injured.
but it was John Jones saying that.
Yeah.
It was TJ Dillashaw saying that Tom Aspinall not continuing is a bad look,
It's funny.
which I would argue EPO might be a worse look than
Yeah.
not fighting when you can't see.
Yeah.
There was Aljamain Sterling who came out and said, people probably think I'm on Tom's side, but I'm not. And the only thing that came through my mind was that fight against Peter Yan, that fight that made him a champion.
I forgot
He
about
was
that.
getting destroyed for 4 rounds. Then the knee happens, and I do think he got hurt in that fight, like with from that knee. It did also look like he was kind of playing it up a little bit,
Yeah.
so probably not the best person to be talking about that. And then there's Chael Sonnen, who said you have to be able to fight for a championship when you can't see, and that he was quitting when Chael Sonnen beat the crap out of Anderson Silva for 24 minutes in a fight once, and then the second he got put in that triangle against him, he tapped a minute away from being a UFC champion. And he's talking about Tom Aspinall quitting. And then to top it all off, Anthony Smith, who I'll give him credit, his one championship fight he had was his fight against John Jones. Got kicked below the belt. Could have stopped the fight there. Could have been a champion. Could have had the rematch and gotten paid his pay per view points. And he chose to keep going. He's also probably the most known fighter for curling up into a ball
Yeah.
while he's getting beat up.
Yeah.
And to just to top it all off, he was talking about a fight that he had. I can't even remember what country he was talking about.
It was in China. He was talking about how sometimes you got to fight with one eye. I had to do that in China. Bro, you were fighting Ryan Spann.
Yeah, he was fighting Ryan Spann, and it wasn't even an eye poke. He was just
Yeah.
getting beat up, and his eye
Yeah.
was swollen shut. So if he would have not continued that fight, it would have been a TKO.
Yeah. He's
So
notorious for quitting, and he's coming at a guy that actually got an entire finger in his eye, talking about you should have continued. Well, that's why you've never been a champion because you could have been a champion. You could have taken that belt off John Jones, but
yeah,
I
and then
mean,
like I said, he would have gotten a fight of a fight worth of pay-per-view points. He could have made
Yeah.
a couple $1 million off of a rematch, which he would have lost, but he would have at least gotten that
Yeah.
one big payday.
Yeah.
And I will say, just so no one is commenting this on our video, these are professional fighters. We're talking about Tom Aspinall. Yes, they are better fighters than us. Yes, we will take that on the chin. That being said, we also do this podcast to look at what is going on in the sports world and give our opinions on it. So I don't think a lot of these fighters have a lot of room to talk about Tom Aspinall. And then, there was a couple videos that was put out after the eye poke on his channel. I believe the day after the fight, they took us through the hospital and everything, um, and took us through what happened. His dad posted on his channel a couple days later with an update. I believe it was the Tuesday after that he still couldn't see, and there hasn't been an update since then. I'm assuming by this point he's fine,
Yeah.
but
But in that moment, to say, oh, a few minutes later I can fight, like, of course he's going to be okay a few hours later. But in that moment, was he in the position to be able to fight Cyril Gahn, who's a freak?
yeah.
Like, no, like,
There are also a lot of people talking about the doctor at ringside saying that there's no visible damage to his eye, which, of course, there was no visible damage to his eye when he is looking at
yeah.
his eyeball with the naked eye. Like,
Play the replay where Cyril Gahn sticks his entire finger in his eye.
yeah, it's
That's the visible
there's
damage.
yeah, it's also it's a UFC hired doctor, so like
Yeah.
he can kind of say whatever he wants because they signed a contract, so he's not going to get sued.
Hmm.
Uh, but that's not saying that's what happened, but
Yeah. Dude,
like to go on.
I'll be at work and I'll get a piece of like sawdust in my eye and I'll be incapacitated for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I can't imagine someone taking their finger and sticking it in my eye and
both
then being
eyes.
like, yeah, and then being like, "Oh, a few minutes later you have to fight somebody to the death."
Yeah, and then they also talked about the doctor in Tom Aspinall's video saying there is no long-term damage to his eye, which is great news.
Yeah.
But saying there is no visible damage without an actual eye exam, and then saying after the eye exam there is no long-term damage, doesn't mean he doesn't have like corneal abrasion or something like
Mhm.
that. That's like very small and can recover very quickly. But no long-term damage and no visible damage doesn't mean no damage.
Exactly.
So, I mean, good for Cyril Gahn for fighting how he did for those 4 minutes, and again, being the first fighter really to do any sort of like visible damage to Tom Aspinall. His nose was bleeding. Uh, he gave him a fight, but it was a very close fight. That Cyril Gahn probably won that first round, but it is 4 minutes and 30 some odd seconds of a 25-minute fight.
Yeah.
So, going, I mean, I guess kind of going off of that, this was also not the first time in this fight that Cyril poked Tom in the eye. Like
Mhm.
during his takedown attempt, which wasn't a great takedown attempt, but he attempted the takedown and he defended the takedown by poking him in the eye then. And it
Mhm.
wasn't, bad enough to where there was a call on it. It wasn't bad enough to where uh, you know, they
Anything had to happen.
stopped Tom at all. But I it's so weird to me how many times eye pokes happen in the UFC. Because we both come from wrestling backgrounds. Like we both have been in fights before. Like where I can't remember a time where, and granted, like I didn't really train in mixed martial arts like all that much, but I can't remember a time where I got poked in the eye, and I can't remember a time where I poked someone in the eye. So
Mhm.
it's just very weird. And I
Yeah.
don't think the gloves, like they're talking about like going back to the old gloves that, had the little natural curve to it. I don't really think that'll help either because there are a lot of people who are, I don't know if this comes out very well because of how close my hand's going to be to the camera, but there are a lot of people who like kind of come out like this, like fingers out.
Hmm.
But if you are blocking like you normally should with those curved gloves, your fingers are instantly going to be facing their eye again if you're doing stuff how you are supposed to. So I don't think gloves are really the issue. Do you think there is a solution to stopping eye pokes?
Well, I think a lot of it is done like I'm not saying that people are poking other people in the eye on purpose, but they're purposefully having their hands out like this. A lot of strikers do it. They do it either to post or to have their hands ready to parry anything coming their way. But I mean, I think more severe punishments. Like the, each and every fighter gets warned the first time in the locker room. The ref will come in and they'll say,
And we
"Hey,
saw
they'll
that.
yeah,
We saw that in the video too that Tom
yeah,
posted.
yeah. They'll every single fighter has a meeting with the ref and the saying, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. Like no eye pokes, no low blows. Before they start the fight, they'll for the main events and championship fights, they'll bring it to the center. They'll say, hey, let's keep it clean. Um, so each and every fighter gets their first warning in the background, in the backstage, and so their first offense in the fight should be some type of punishment. Take away half a point. Take away a point. Like, sure, it'll suck when these things accidentally happen, but like they have an effect on the fight. Whether I mean the fighter getting poked is always affected. So it's only fair to level the playing field and take at least half a point or take a point. There's some fighters that are getting away with multiple fouls in a single fight.
John
Like,
Jones.
yeah, John Jones, like two some fighters, some refs will give two warnings for two low blows before they'll take a point. Like these things affect the fights. And they should be taking points no later than the first foul. Like I'll be fine if some refs don't want to take a point on the very first one, but I think we should see a lot more of that because I think it would prevent fighters from having their fingers out like that because they'll know the consequences of an eye poke is going to be drastic. And it's crazy. We've been seeing so many fouls happen lately. Um, th- this past weekend, it was Cortez Acosta versus Deliha. And
It was
Deliha,
the next weekend after
yeah,
the Aspinall fight.
and Deliha is Aspinall's teammate. He's like a really good friend of his. Deliha goes in there. He pokes Cortez Acosta and he swarms him. And the ref steps in. Deliha thinks the fight's over, but in reality, there was an eye poke. He poked the dude and then he swarmed him and was beating on him. And then Cortez Acosta gets his 5 minutes. Deliha thinks the fight's over, so he has this crazy adrenaline high, and then it crashes, and then they restart the fight. So like he went from thinking he won the fight, he's on top of the world, to being like, no, you poked the dude, you're gonna fight again. And then 20
No
seconds
shot.
later,
No shot. You can continue that fight at that point. It's got to either be a no contest or a DQ.
yeah, and I think it's weird because it's I've heard, and even they were even saying when it happened, they were like, this fight cannot continue. Like they stopped it, it can't continue, but I don't know what happened. They continued it, but uh, Cortez Acosta ends up knocking him out 20 seconds later after he got eye poked, which is insane. And then Cortez Acosta gets on the mic and he's like, Tom Aspinall, you're a wuss. You can get eye poked and keep going. Look at me. I want to fight you. And it's like, man, Tom took another L that night.
And I get why Cortez Acosta had to do that is because he's trying to do whatever he can in the ring and outside of the ring to get as high as he can in the rankings to be able to have a chance for the belt. And I think it probably helps him a little bit that he did that, and it probably helps him a little bit that outside of Cyril Gahn, Tom's already beat everyone in the top five.
Yeah.
Which or Cortez Acosta is going to be in the top five. Or I believe he might the ranking at the
I
rankings.
think he was. I think he was number 6 or 7
He was
because he
six
had
going.
just.
He was six going into that fight, and he was fighting
Yeah.
Leah, who was number 9.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, it's. I understand why he had to do that. It still isn't a great look calling out the champion from that far down in the rankings, but
dude, if that happened to me, I would feel so cool. Like I just got eye poked and then I sleep the dude 20 seconds later.
yeah.
That would be
But
cool.
yeah, I agree. I think every time there is a stop in the action, it should be a point taken off. And
Yeah.
if there's a stop in the action that lasts beyond those 5 minutes that the fight can't continue, then I do think there needs to be a little bit of judgment there as to, you know, this fighter's history, what's happened previously in the fight. Like, honestly, I would probably say the fight between Aspinall and Gane should have been a DQ, only because this is not the first time in the fight, and I don't know if Jason Herzog knew that he had poked him already.
Oh yeah. It definitely should be a DQ. If he got fouled and then the fight had to stop, of course it has to be a DQ. I don't know what did they give him? Was it a no contest?
It was a no contest, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's why there is going to end up being a rematch, is
Yeah.
because there's still I truly think if that fight was a DQ, then Cyril Gane would be done with championship fights,
Yeah.
because
Like
he lost to Francis Ngannou, he would have lost to John Jones, and then got his last shot against Tom Aspinall and blew it away.
yeah,
And
like if I'm losing a fight, by that logic, I can just throw an accidental eye poke, and then instead of me losing, it'll just be a no contest.
yeah, and that's why I'm like not too mad at it being a no contest, because like Cyril was winning the fight,
Yeah, he
but
looked good.
he it was also not the first time he's done it, and he has a history of doing this stuff. I believe, not just eye poking. I want to say it was the Rosenstrike fight that he poked him in the eye, but I can't remember exactly. There was another eye poke that he had at one point.
Yeah,
He kicked John Jones below the belt. He finished Tai Tuivasa and Sergey Spivak with shots to the back of the head,
yeah,
which
yeah.
you
There's
have
there's a montage of just
if you have to
fouls.
foul Tai Tuivasa and Sergey Spivak, it's not a great look. But
Yeah,
and you know, like you said, that very next week, the fight between Ante Delia and Waldo Cortez Acosta was also not a great look. I have never seen. Well, I guess I have seen it. It boggles my mind how over the past few years Dana White has single-handedly ruined the heavyweight division in the UFC. Because he had his issues with Francis Ngannou to the point where Francis Ngannou is still currently the lineal UFC heavyweight champion, left the UFC with the belt. Stipe ends up winning the belt. He had issues with Dana White. He chose to not even let Dana put the belt on him. He had his coach do that. Um, Tom Aspinall, the whole situation right now. John Jones, I mean, he's the reason why Dana has ruined all of his relationships with the UFC champion, with the heavyweight champions, is to benefit John Jones. And right now, he's having an issue with John Jones because of how he handled
yeah,
everything the last year and a half, to where he won't even let John Jones on the White House card right now. So
yeah,
every single UFC champion, basically since I've been watching the UFC, and you can even probably go back farther than that, but since I've been watching the UFC, Dana White has had an issue with every single UFC heavyweight champion. And I do think a lot of what's happening right now with Tom probably has to do with his dad. I don't think his dad has done him a whole lot of favors with, and I mean Tom too. Him talking about how he would refuse to fight D'Elia if he ever got into a championship, uh, got a chance for a championship fight, and he would just vacate the title just
Hmm.
so D'Elia can have his shot. A guy who, at that point, had one fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
His dad was talking about how he was going to finish his contract and then take him to boxing, which Tom has no interest in doing. Uh, I
That whole
mean,
thing is so annoying when someone gets any success in the UFC and it's like, let's take them to boxing.
yeah. Which
No, just stay in the UFC.
which I honestly don't think Tom would be a great boxer.
Mm.
Like compared to people who are actual professional boxers, like
Oh yeah.
I don't think he beats Anthony Joshua or he beats, you know, Tyson Fury or he beats, all these guys that Francis Ngannou has had to fight since he moved into
Hmm.
boxing. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't get what their play is. I think Tom is probably going to stay in the UFC and sign another contract. But I also have this weird feeling that if Tom ever loses the belt, I don't know if he's ever getting another shot to get it back. Like, I think him and Dana White are not in a good spot right now. Uh,
Yeah.
even Dana's wording in the press conference afterwards, like, yeah, he chose not to
Yeah,
continue.
he didn't want to continue.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
this whole thing is a mess, and I hope Tom figures it out. Um, hopefully he knocks out Cyril. He's like, I'm done listening to people saying I can't go deep into these rounds, and he just goes beast mode and knocks out Cyril Gahn. Then
Yeah.
goes and fights John Jones at the White House and knocks him out. Uh,
Yeah.
then Waldo Cortez Acosta gets his title shot, knocks him out, knocks out Alex Pereira, knocks out Francis Ngannou, just goes beast mode and knocks out.
Dude, we need Francis Ngannou back in the UFC. Can you imagine all this crap going on? You got Pereira, you got John Jones, you got this Aspinall. There's like it's like a trio of like how can we make one of these guys fight the other?
Yeah.
And then you throw Francis Ngannou into that mix. Boy, the heavyweight division would be on fire.
I just want Aspinall to line them all up and knock them all down. I
Yeah.
want this to be the thing that wakes Tom up and be like, okay, I don't have to go 2 or 3 rounds like they were planning on going with Cyril Gahn. Like in the rematch, I'm looking for the knockout. I'm looking for the most dominant wins possible, and I am going to make these people that don't respect me respect me. So I hope we get this fight as soon as possible because even if Tom loses the rematch, we need answers as to what the heavyweight division is going to look like because right now it's a mess. They recently cut, I think, like 3 different heavyweights. They cut Justin Tafa. They cut Chris Barnett. They cut Hamdi Abdelwahab after beating Chris Barnett and after Walter Walker called him out and probably the
Yeah.
funniest call out I've ever seen in my life.
Chocolate Peppa Pig.
Calling out the guy that beat Chocolate Peppa Pig
Yeah.
and then cutting them both. Like I
Dude,
know,
I'm gonna be honest. I watched the Abdul Wahab and Barnett fight. Dude, it was a nightmare. It was so bad. It was like 2 bags of milk fighting.
but that's what happens whenever you have these heavyweights that are 40% body fat fighting in the UFC. Like I'm I am 6'3", 6'2", something like that, and about 240 pounds, 245 pounds, and I am in better shape than 3/4. It seems like
Yeah.
the heavyweight division right now.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
Yeah. When your heavyweights can make 170, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Chris Barnett could make middleweight
And
if he really locked in.
instead he's missed weight before at heavyweight.
Yeah.
5'8", 5'9".
That should be an automatic, you're getting cut.
So like, yeah, I know there's some exciting guys that are outside the UFC that are like probably going to get signed pretty soon. I don't think it's going to be that long before we see Gable Steveson in the UFC, which I don't think he'll be a champion at any point, but I do think he'll be at least uh, a fun change of pace for the heavyweight division. I
Do
think
you do you have your laptop open? You can search something up real quick.
yeah,
Look up. He fought on the last card. I forgot his name. He's a heavyweight. He knocked this dude out in less than like 2 minutes.
in the UFC.
Yes, he's a heavyweight. He goes in there, knocks this dude out. He puts a USA bandana on, and then in his interview, he cuts the hottest WWE promotion, and he called out Walter Walker too.
Was it last week?
Yes, I think his last name starts with T.
Uh, what was last Saturday? November.
Yeah, it was the um, it was
Uh,
the shoot. Can't remember his name.
I have the card up right now. You said heavyweight.
Yeah, he's a heavyweight. He was fighting a Brazilian. He's an American.
Josh Hockett.
Yes, Josh Hockett. Dude, that dude, he cuts like a Chael Sonnen WWE promotion, didn't stutter once. He goes in there, knocks this dude out. He's a big heavyweight, like country Fred white boy.
Yeah,
Like,
he's 7-0.
yeah, he goes, he looked good.
Looks really in shape for a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Won't
You
have
should you should clip this. You should make like an edit and clip this with his interview because his interview is was the best part. They
6'1",
could
236.
they could put that dude on the White House card against Walter Walker.
That'd
But
be
yeah, he that is some energy in the heavyweight division.
yeah. And hopefully they continue with these cuts and sign, some more entertaining guys like Josh Hockett and like
Yeah.
Abel Stevenson. Like we don't need Tai Tuivasa in the UFC anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'll accept Shamil Gaziev because he actually like kind of seems good for some reason. But like
Yeah.
we're cutting like I don't even care if you bring back Jairzinho Rosenstrike because he wasn't that fat. He was
Dude,
good.
he was good.
He wasn't ever going to be a champion again, but like, why are we cutting Jairzinho Rosenstrike?
Yeah, he beat Gaziev.
He's the only guy in Gaziev's UFC and professional MMA career that beat him.
Yeah, in that fight,
Why is Shamil Gaziev good?
in that fight, Gaziev lost via cardiac arrest. Dude, it was like the third round, and it was a low output striking fight. And Gaziev he was like gassed, his mouthpiece was coming out. So crazy. Something had to be off because it was like abnormal. Because he had fights before that, and since then that he actually looked really good in. So I don't know what happened.
19-1.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the Rosenstrike fight. But if they don't have at least a little bit of muscle definition, don't sign them.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Chris Barnett. There's plenty of roided up ex NFL freaks walking around in Florida that you can find.
Yeah, we don't need another Greg Hardy situation though. That's
Yeah.
Greg Hardy was kind of too far, but
Yeah. I remember Greg Hardy used his inhaler in between rounds, and they're like, "What are you doing? You can't do that."
and then lost to Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Tai Tuivasa he can bang, dude. Dude, Tai Tuivasa's on like a 6-fight losing streak, and they still haven't cut him.
Still in the top 15.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on before I have a stroke. Just talking about the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
UFC 322 is this weekend. It is happening at Madison Square Garden. JDM versus Islam. This
Boy.
is one of the more exciting fights that I can think of in like the last few months.
Oh, yes. It's one of the best cards we've had in recent memory.
Yeah.
That card is absolutely stacked. There's JDM versus Islam, Zhang Wei Li versus
Valentina Shevchenko.
Valentina.
Sean Brady versus Michael Morales.
Yep,
Leon Edwards versus Carlos
yep,
Marquez. Even Benil Dariush versus Benoit Saint Denis is fun.
dude.
Bo Nickel, I find it hilarious that he was on the main card for so long, but he's now the prelim main event.
A
Uh,
sleeper fight on the prelims is Kopylov versus Rodriguez. Rodriguez looks like Obama, and he
Kind
looks like he
of.
looks like he's in his 40s, but he's like 31,
Bro, even
31 to 32.
Aaron Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez like somewhat interesting.
Yeah, that'll
Like
be that's a good
agreed.
bathroom break.
It's somewhat interesting for like women's MMA.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, we have main event JDM versus Islam Makhachev. Um, this is Islam's first welterweight fight, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, how do you see this fight going?
So it's hard because in Jack's last fight, he fought Bilal, and Bilal has probably um, one of the best grappling at 170. In JD, I actually just rewatched it while I was on the bike, but JDM dealt very, very well with Bilal's grappling. And Bilal trains, he trains with those Dagestani guys, Khabib and Islam. And like Bilal is big. He's not a small 170. He's got to cut weight to get to 170. I'm sure he's bigger than Islam. And so, and Jack dealt very, very, very well with that style. And I can only see him making improvements from the Bilal fight. He's working with Craig Jones, who helped Volk fight Islam. The second Volk fight with Islam didn't go so well, but the first one was very, very, very competitive. A good point here to think about is when Volk moved up from 145 to fight Islam, he gave him a very, very competitive test and a competitive fight. And although Islam is moving up and he is bigger, he's fighting a real 170 pounder, a big dude, probably twice the size of Volk, who's got great striking. He's got great takedown defense as he's shown in his last fight. Um, so I could see it being another Bilal JDM looking fight. But then again, Islam is like literally probably pr- probably probably the best grappler in the UFC right now. I can't think of another one. Um,
Not
Hamzat, yeah, Hamzat. But he's like probably top three or four in terms of grappling in the UFC. And so, I mean, we don't know how Islam looks at 170. He could go in there and just smoke JDM. Or what I think is more likely is I think Islam is in for a tough test. He could win, but I think he's in for a tough, tough test because Jack is not small. He's the biggest fighter. He's um, he's probably got the best boxing out of anybody that Islam's ever faced. And so I don't know, dude. I'm favoring Jack, but at the same time, these Dagestani fighters are just freaks. Like they go in there and they just dominate. But at the same time, like we haven't seen that like domination from Islam. Yeah, he's beaten everybody that's been put in front of him except for Adriano Martins back in like 2015. He got slept, but since then. But another thing to think about is look at Islam's fight versus Poirier. That was a tough fight, and Poirier does not. He's got both of his hips. He's had issues with like that was at the tail end of Poirier's career, and that was a tough fight. There was times in that fight where Islam was up against the fence, eating body shots, and Poirier was pushing a pace on him, and he was making it a dogfight. And how I look at it is Jack is a bigger, better Poirier. Um, I don't. they I don't want to say that Jack has better boxing, but his footwork is very probably better. He's got better kicks, better movement than Poirier, and I don't know. I have a feeling that Jack's gonna go in there and just maybe style on him or just finish him really quick. We might be seeing the downfall of the Dagestani. A few weeks ago, the Shama went in there and took out Ankalaev with ease.
Yeah,
Um,
he's not like the kind of Dagestani that you expect, like that you think of whenever you think of Dagestan. Like he's not all that. He's a good wrestler, but he's not like what we've seen from Dagestani wrestlers.
yeah, he's very well rounded. He's got the striking and he's got the grappling, and like even Islam's not like the he's not like a Mavzar Evloev where he's gonna just go in there and just like hug you for 3 rounds. He's gonna go in there and he's gonna strike. He's very well rounded, but he's not like the top end of the food chain. He's not like a pure grappler or a pure striker. He's good at everything. Um, and so I mean, I it's hard. Islam, he's very good, but I don't think he's ever fought anybody like Jack. I don't think he's ever seen anybody. I mean, the closest thing to a Jack Della Maddalena that he's fought was Poirier, and that was not an easy fight. And so we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this is going to be an easy fight. I would actually say JDM is a better boxer
Hmm.
than Poirier, but I think JDM is probably a top 2 or 3 boxer in on the entire UFC roster. Like
Yeah.
Ilya is better than him. Uh, Off the top of my head, it's tough for me to think of another one that's better than him though.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking about a guy who's that good at boxing versus a guy that is that good at wrestling. Again, probably a top 2 or 3 wrestler on the entire roster. And I think the difference is yes, Islam is fighting a bigger guy who, is a size that he's not used to fighting, but I do believe he's also gotten bigger in his time that he decided to move up. And I do think it evens out a little bit more on Islam's favor with how he is able to hold his own on the feet than him and his wrestling ability. I do think this is going to be a good fight. I hope it's a 5 round fight. I hope it's amazing.
Hmm.
Actually, that's not true. I always hope for a finish, uh, but I hope you know we get our money's worth, so to speak, with this fight. I do favor Islam very slightly, but I will not be shocked at all if JDM wins. Um,
I'm buying it.
are you?
I'm buying it. It's one of the last pay-per-views I'll have to buy, so I'm just gonna buy it. Whatever. I usually have uh I usually have other methods of viewing my UFC content. Um, but I think I'm gonna buy this one.
Are you buying December?
Maybe I'll just buy it. Whatever. It's the just to celebrate, like whatever. I'll buy it.
Um, that's. I mean, that is probably the a card that's even better. But
Yeah.
I guess would you say if Islam wins, does that bring us any closer to Islam versus Ilya?
Dude, now that fight is what I want. Okay, so say Islam beats JDM. He's got the 170-pound strap. Say in January they you know Ilya eats Patty or Gaethje. Then that fight is even bigger because Islam just beat Jack. He's bigger than he's ever been at this point. Double champ, 155 and 170. Ilya, he goes out there and gets another viral knockout. He's bigger than he's ever been. Double champ as well. Dude, that fight, dude, it would be I think it would be one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time.
It'd be the first fight ever between two double champs.
Dude, I
Like,
get
obviously,
goosebumps.
at that point, neither DC or John Jones was a double champ.
Yeah.
I mean, you could qualify that, but the first time two fighters are going up against each other that have both already held two belts, and that would be a fight that I think would probably require Ilya to move up again.
Dude, I would not want him to move up.
It might be that might
I
be the
would
first
not want him to move up.
that might be the first time we ever see someone be able to attempt to win three belts. And I think I might favor Ilya in that fight.
Can you imagine? Ilya goes up to 155. Islam goes up to 170. Then Ilya follows him again to 170 and knocks him out. Can you imagine? That would be the craziest thing we've ever seen.
I get laughed at a lot from this, especially again from Reggie. We will have Reggie on an episode one time, I promise
Gosh,
you.
bless his heart.
I get laughed at by Reggie because I say Ilya is probably on his way. I never say anyone is the goat of fighting, like the UFC goat, because arguing people from different weight classes in different times, like it's hard to do. Like, how do you compare, what George St. Pierre does to what Demetrius Johnson does to what John Jones does to what, anyone that you might have in your GOAT conversation? Like, I don't know how you really compare that.
Hmm.
If Ilya continues to be an undefeated, if he becomes an undefeated three division champion, I have been saying I think Ilya could be on his way to being the UFC GOAT.
Yeah. In the it's so there's two types of championship fighters. You got the John Joneses, you got the GSPs, you got
Which, by the
the
way, John Jones is out of the discussion for me only because of the steroids.
yeah. But
Like,
like
that's
to the
fine.
to the
Anderson
to the
Silva's
general
out of the
public.
discussion as well, but that's
So there's like a John Jones type, there's a GSP type where or Anderson Silva type where they'll have like 8 or 9 title defenses, but they're not like finishing. Sure they'll have a finish every once and again, but they're not like going in there and just killing people. They're getting decisions, they're dominating people. So you got that type of championship fighter, and then you got a fighter like, say, like Khabib, who is here, and while he's here, he's so dominant that he's like almost untouchable. He's just murking people in that cage. Uh, but he's not here for a super long time. He only had 3 title defenses, and like I don't see Ilya staying around for the next 10 years, like a John Jones or like a GSP has. I see him getting another, say he defends the belt 2 or 3 more times and he just is knocking fools out. I see him going and doing something else. Like think of a guy like Conor McGregor. Like he came around, he was knocking everybody out. He got the 2 belts. He went to boxing, and he was sort of never the same after that. So it's like, this sounds corny, but it's like some guys they just shine bright, and they fade away quicker. So a guy like Ilya who comes in and he's just terrifying. He's just sleeping people. He's probably got the best 3 fight win streak ever. You got against, he knocks out Volk, he knocks out Holloway, he knocks out Charles.
yeah.
Dude, a year ago,
I don't know.
I hated Taporia. I despised him because of what he did to my Max. But since then, he's really grown on me. Like I respect it. Like the way he's just finishing dudes.
He's literally finishing all of your favorite fighters.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Um, yeah, I hope we see Ilya for a long time because Ilya is 29. He's going to be 29 years old in January.
Yeah,
He is still in his prime. Like, we could see, if, even if he fights twice a year, like for the next 5 years. That's 10 fights. If he can stay undefeated throughout that time, or even lose like one or two fights, like we're talking about a guy who could be a three division champion, 27-0, 26-1. Like it's
Yeah.
and he'd still be 30, he'd be 34 at that point. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I hope we still see Ilya for a long time, but I there he was saying for a long time that if Islam wins that belt at 170, he's going to go up and chase Islam.
Man.
But if Islam loses the belt, he's not going to let Islam
Yeah, of
get an
course.
immediate title shot at
Yeah,
145.
of course. What a
So,
fighter Ilia Topuria is.
yeah.
He's amazing.
Speaking of amazing fighters, I want to end this on not really a serious topic in my mind, but an interesting one. I think I texted you about it last night.
Mhm.
What on earth is Jake Paul doing?
Dude,
Because
I
so
respect him.
Gervonta David, he was originally going to be fighting him. Mind you, he outweighs Gervonta David by 100 pounds, and he's about
Mm,
7 inches taller than him. Gervonta Davis has to pull out of the fight, and he decides the pivot that he takes
dude,
is calling out Francis Ngannou. Then that doesn't happen, and so he decides to call out the guy that beat Francis Ngannou with Anthony Joshua. So I looked this up last night. Um, Jake Paul's normally a cruiserweight, but he fought his last fight at a heavyweight fight. He's about 6'1". Normally fights around 200, but fought at his last fight against Mike Tyson around 230. Which the fact that I just said his last fight against Mike Tyson, we're talking about Jake Paul,
yeah.
is stupid in and of itself. Anthony Joshua, again, best heavyweight fighter in the world right now, is 6'6" and 250 pounds. And that's like his last 5 fights has been at least 250 pounds.
Mm.
What is Jake Paul doing?
Dude, I think it's actually kind of comedic. He's like, yeah, I'm about to fight this one of the smallest dudes I can get my hands on, and then he pulls out, and then he goes to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and he says, "I'm going to fight the biggest dude I can find who will take it," and Anthony Joshua. And in a weird way, I
I think
respect it.
I think he's
Like, I
I think
respect it, dude. Like I know Joshua got knocked out in his last fight against I can't remember his name. He's from Great
is it
Britain.
Usyk?
No, it wasn't Usyk.
No.
Ah, big black dude. Forgot his
Uh,
name.
his last fight was oh I can't stand these websites. I clicked on a website and it made me try to sign in.
Is it BoxRec?
Yeah.
I don't like BoxRec.
Daniel Dubois.
Yep. Dubois. He got knocked out in his last fight against Dubois, but like before that, he knocked.
24 with 25 knockouts.
Yeah, he knocked out Francis. Slept him. But dare I say this? I think that Jake Paul is a better technical boxer than Francis. He's been doing this since like 2016 or 2017. Think about it. He's got all the money in the world to pay for the best trainers that he can get. He's got the best trainers in the world. He's got all the money. He's got all the training facilities. He's been doing this since he was in his mid 20s, so he's been sort of for the past 7 or 8 years. He's been sort of like growing up and getting better as a boxer. Maybe he can get his hands on some special sauce too. But like he's like he's a he's not like a world championship boxer, but Jake Paul is a good boxer. He can box. He can fight. Now he's definitely not his name shouldn't even be mentioned with Anthony Joshua or Gervonta Davis or Canelo. He's not a world class boxer, but he can box for sure. He can box, and so, dude, maybe he goes in there. Can you imagine? He knocks
If he
out
knocks out Anthony
somehow,
Joshua,
somehow he knocks out Anthony Joshua. Like he's just got plot armor, and he just knocks out Anthony Joshua.
for all the talks about the worst case scenario with Tom Aspinall, I really think Jake Paul knocking out Anthony Joshua is the best case
Oh yeah, dude, he could knock out Anthony Joshua and then just be like, "I'm done with this whole boxing thing. I'm gonna go back to doing Disney movies."
scenario.
Just be like, that would embarrass the state of boxing
What a
to
dumb world we're living in.
to an indescribable degree.
I just wanted to bring that up just because it's something that I've
Yeah,
ran across over the past few days, and it's just stupid. I can't wait to see it. I love every minute of it.
I'm gonna be crossing my fingers that Jake Paul lands a right hook and just knocks him out. That would
And
be hilarious.
good for Netflix, by the way, for the amount of subscriptions that they're gonna sell for this 25-second
Yeah.
fight. Yeah, that's all we got for you guys. I just needed to vent about that for a second. We appreciate you guys watching. If you guys like what we do, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please be sure to like, give us a good review, download our podcast, do all that stuff. We're trying to do a lot of cool things over the next few months, and it will rely on your guys' support, whether you love us or hate us. I will again thank all the Dodgers fans that helped us out for uh, arguing with us in the comments for I don't know how long and giving us all the great content to follow.
Yep.
Um, like I said, we're trying to do great things with this, and you guys are the reason why we're going to be able to. So appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys next time.